Hey guys, so this is going to be kind of a December, January favorites video. Um, Also just a little bit of sharing some of the things that I had picked up over the holidays and whatnot. So, first things first, December was a really, really weird month for me. I honestly had one of the worst experiences I've ever had where I had a very bad reaction to a medication and I basically had psychosis. Um, I've talked about it a little bit already on this channel. I'm not going to get into it too much, but it basically is the one of the reasons why I'm doing a January December favorites video all in one is because for a lot of December I really wasn't doing much. I had lost interest in a lot of things that I normally do. Um, I wasn't able to read. I wasn't really able to. My camera is totally weird. I wasn't really able to pick up tarot decks. I wasn't really able to sit at my altar. It was rough. So I'm gonna just kind of get into some of the things that I did pick up over the holidays and that I've been enjoying. Um, First things first, I really wanted to share that right around winter solstice, my husband and I started renovating our basement. So we are actually building two offices down there. One of them is for him, and then the other one is for me. So I will be having my own witchy room and art studio. I am so excited. I cannot even begin to tell you guys how excited I am. So, pretty much everything you see behind me is going to be going down in that room. And I'm so thrilled. I've always wanted something like this. So, there are a few things that that I want to share that aren't books or decks. Um, First is I did finally get a statue of Frigg. She looks beautiful. So I have her right there for now, next to Odin. And then I am very unprepared. I'm sorry, guys. The other thing that I was going to show you all is that I was finally able to get a meditation pillow. So I have that. And then I did pick up this brown blanket. You see my big Hello Kitty there? My mother got me that. So that I plan on putting on the floor in my new space. So that is amazing. And then I was gifted by a very good friend, whoops, this blanket, which is hooded. And I actually wore this in my dedication to Freya. Well, that was incredible. And the other thing I'm going to stand up and show you guys as best I can is that I finally finished my staff. And I'm so excited about this thing. There is a lot of danglies on it and a quartz crystal at the top. This was actually made by a tree branch from my ash tree that had fallen in a storm last summer. So I had actually taken it and I sanded it down a little bit and then I wood burned the runes on it and I've kind of hung a lot of fun stuff off of it. So I finally have a staff. So excited about that. Then the other thing that I was going to share is for my birthday, my husband treated me to a new microphone. I mentioned that in my last video, but you'll probably notice I sound a lot better. Um, so those are some things that I've been enjoying. I did get this necklace as well. There's a picture on my Instagram I had shared of it if you guys follow me on there. But this is a necklace. Whoop. This is a necklace of the star card from the tarot. And the star card is my astrological card for Aquarius, but it is also a card that used to show up a lot when I first started reading tarot. And especially when I was experiencing depression. I don't know how well you can see because there's quite a bit of glare, but it's very beautiful. And I will put the link down below to the Etsy shop that I purchased it from. But for me, it kind of represents hope through my battle with depression. So I I find it very empowering to wear it. So now we're gonna get into books. Given my situation with what happened with my medication, I actually really struggled to read. So I didn't read a whole lot in December. And just now in January, as January is coming to a close, I have finally started to pick up my reading practice again. So there are some books that I've read through that I have not, that I have read through, and then there's one that I'm just going to share because I'm going to start diving into it. So the first two that I read through was I finally read through the Havamal, and I sat and read through this one morning, like a whole, just one morning with my cup of coffee, sat and read through this whole thing. And it was, it gave me a lot to think about. It, the Havamal is, there were some pieces in here where I was just like, well, kind of silly and outdated, but then there were others that really, really caught my attention. Um, I'm trying to find the one. I believe it's in the first few stanzas. Let's see. I should have actually marked it, but you know, here I am. Yeah, it's just it's supposed to be the words of the High One, so essentially the words of Odin, and there is a lot in here that really I kind of walked away from it, just wrapping my head around a lot of what I read in here. I wish I had more to say on this, but truthfully, if you've read the Havamal, hopefully you'll understand. But I do recommend this one. It is by Jackson Crawford. Now, I have to be perfectly honest. I'm not super keen on Jackson Crawford as a person, only because I've seen a few things that he's posted online that have made me a little eh. But when it comes to a scholar, he knows his stuff. So I do still recommend his books because he knows his stuff, and I'm not going to ignore that. Um, the next one that I read was Satyr, The Gate is Open by Katie Gerald. This was fantastic, and as you can see, I have notes in it. It really was a very down to earth concept of satyr, and I actually think I did cover this book in my last favorites, my November favorites that I did in December, because I think technically I read this in November, but I wanted to mention it again because it is such a fantastic book. If you are curious about satyr magic, I highly recommend this one. And like I said, as again, I have all the notes. I actually kind of based some of my dedication to Freya off of a little bit of reference in here. Now the next one I was super excited about, and I cannot believe I had it for a month and I still have not read through it. So we are starting this. This is Magical Mediumship. This is by Daniel Dion. I have had this on my wish list since last year, and I was so excited to get it. But then right after I got it was when I was really having trouble focusing. So I have not really been able to dive into it too much yet. But this is going to be my next one to read. So I am very thrilled about that. Next, I'm going to get into the decks, and it's kind of going to be a little bit of a, these are some new ones that have come into my collection over just some of the stuff that I've gotten for the holidays and my birthday. Also ones that I've just been using a lot. And yeah, so the first one that I've been using a ton and felt really pulled to was the Mary L. Tarot. This is a second edition with the weird black, but I like it. I resisted this deck for so long, and then it just kept popping up and coming into my life, and I basically was like, all right, I can't ignore this anymore. We're gonna get this deck. So thankfully a good friend of mine had actually gifted me a copy of it, and it is phenomenal. It is not one I would recommend if you are new to tarot. This does follow Rider Waite, but at the same time it really doesn't. It is very different. But the great part is that the guidebook goes deep and it explains so much. It is really good for shadow work, personal work, spiritual work. And that's kind of what I was really pulled to, because I have been doing a lot of shadow work since that experience that I had, and as hell has made her way into my practice, which I did do a video a little bit on that as well. Um, if you guys want to give that a watch. So, really been diving into the Mariel Tarot. It is one of those decks that just, it really digs deep into your soul. So, speaking of other decks that do that, the El Goliath Tarot. This is probably my favorite deck um, for 2020. This deck was incredible. It is incredible, and Goliath was so great, generous to send me a copy. I did do a live unboxing where I really took an hour to dive through this thing. I've mentioned it several times on my channel because I love it that much. It again was one that honestly I wasn't sure if I would ever be drawn to, and then I was, and I've never looked back. Um, this is the second edition, which I really like a lot. It has the black edges and it's matte cardstock. It is also a little different. I think the backings are different from the first edition, and I actually think this one might be a little smaller. It still is a pretty big deck, as you can see, but the thing that I greatly enjoy about this this deck, is that it really goes into the rawness of nature and is very shadowy. It's also just very intense, which I'm so okay with. So incredibly okay with. He also did include a lot of extra cards too, so you really get, see, there's the shadow self. You really get quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I can't speak enough for how much I love this deck and how incredible it is. The guidebook is amazing. He has really put so much work into the guidebook, and it he just has so much to say for each card, and he goes so deep. It's incredible, and he's a joy to talk to. I've spoken to him several times, and I just really enjoy his content and the things that he has to say, and this guidebook is just amazing. So I can't rant and rave enough about the El Goliath. It's right up there, right up my alley, and in ways I actually didn't really even expect. It's good. um Now this one is another one that I honestly wasn't really ever sure I would get. Um but recently in my life I have been doing a lot of relationship readings, and I always kind of thought like that isn't generally what I do a lot of the time for my readings. A lot of my readings usually are for my spiritual self, or checking in with myself, or psychological stuff, shadow work, all that stuff. That's generally what my readings pertain to. But circumstances in my life have opened me up to doing relationship readings. So I thought that I would seek a deck that really kind of projected that. But I wanted it to be all inclusive because I myself am pansexual, and I really kind of needed that representation. So I actually ended up getting the Modern Love Tarot by Ethany. I don't have any of Ethany's decks yet, except for now, finally. But I just hadn't. I love her work. I adore her channel. Ethany's wonderful. I just hadn't really been drawn to purchase any of her decks until now. Now I have not worked with this one yet, so I will say that. But first of all, the guidebook is awesome. It's super thick, and it pertains, it has a lot in here about general love readings. Oh, I'm getting glare. For each card it says, general love reading, and then single and loving it. Um ready for love or dating, committed relationship, struggling relationship, or the end. So you have each element to each card meaning under the gauze of that. And I really think that this was kind of what I was looking for when it came to having a relationship, love, romance deck. It had that inclusivity, and it really was geared specifically towards using that. But it also kind of goes through the lens of love in many different ways, which I thought was fantastic. It wasn't just kitschy, really. I'm having a hard time focusing here. Um, it's it shows so many different types of love, from this inclusive love of LGBTQ to self-love to self-empowerment to love between committed partners, love between, see, there's a marriage counselor for justice, um, or the hanged man as he's waiting in suspension, waiting for a text back from someone that he wants to speak to. Um, love for family, the devil with you've got some BDSM in there, which I actually think is really awesome. I love the star card. If the star card is awesome in a deck, I'm gonna be thrilled about it, like I said. Um, so I really this was exactly what I was looking for when it came to a love and relationship deck, and I never thought that I would get one, but here we are. So I cannot wait to work with this more. Circumstances in my life have called me to work with something like this, and this really hit it on the mark for what I was looking for. Um, the other one that I just got like the day before my birthday, and I've been using this so much, is the Keepers, the Dream Keepers Tarot. Um, I love this deck. I wanted to get it for the longest time, but it was one of those ones where I just wasn't sure, and it's an indie deck, so I just kind of just bided my time. I found out it was coming out mass market, and I was like, okay, for one that I'm not quite sure about, this is affordable to just see how I feel. And it's awesome. It really kind of, again, hits where I need when it comes to tarot decks and my specific taste and style. It's kind of otherworldly and mystical. But it's shadowy, and it's it's very dreamlike, as the name obviously represents. But in the guidebook, she also really breaks down the artwork and what everything represents, why it looks the way that it does. So while it can look esoteric in some ways, there is a reason for everything. And I just kind of like the depth that it provides. And as you guys have probably gathered, I really enjoy decks that have that kind of depth. So this was definitely a really pleasant surprise, ending up really liking it, and I'm using it a ton right now. Um, so that is the Dream Keepers Tarot. I'm trying to move things on my tiny nightstand. Once I have my different space, everything will be different and I can manage better. Now we're gonna get into Oracle decks, which I actually have a lot more of than I did of tarot. Maybe about the same amount, we'll see. So the one that I've been using a lot right now is the Runic Odyssey Oracle. This was a Kickstarter deck that I backed at the beginning of last year, and then I got it last fall. I love this deck. It's so wonderful, and I'm so picky about rune decks. This is the only rune deck I have. This is the only rune deck I probably will have. I have my own set of runes that I usually prefer to work with. They have Freya's vibe in them quite a bit, but I enjoy this deck a lot, especially if you're familiarizing yourself with the runes. It has a sort of visual aspect to help you make that connection. I'm a visual learner. The other thing about this deck is that it does have moon phase cards included in it, which I've actually been tempted to pull out and just put on my moon altar. I just haven't done it yet. So I really enjoy this deck quite a bit. Especially being Norse pagan, I tend to pull it out rather frequently. Sometimes I will even use it stuck. I will even use it in conjunction with just an oracle deck too, and tarot deck, because I think a rune deck is different. But I do keep it on my shelf of oracle decks. So that is the Runic Odyssey Oracle, and it'll probably never ever leave my collection because it's beautiful. The other one that I got recently I had this on pre-order for quite some time, is the Sacred Creators Oracle. This was another one that was an indie deck, but I just wasn't interested in it enough to pay indie deck prices. So once I found out it was going mass market, I was very excited. I sound like such a tarot dork. But yeah, this one is kind of an affirmation deck, which I'm picky about affirmation decks, to be perfectly honest, but nothing in here really bothered me or sounded too sugary, I guess is the best way to explain it. It's all very beautiful, and the creator, who is Chris Ann, she's the one who did the Light Seers Tarot. She had said that in her re-release of this as mass market, she was adding more like warm tones and things like that. I plan on keeping this deck on my art table, my art desk, once I get my space set up downstairs. I love it. I also have her Muse Tarot, which I actually keep right here on my art desk. So, being a creative soul, I really enjoyed this concept. I have not worked with this very much, though. I actually just got it right before my birthday, so I just wanted to share it. The other thing that I wanted to, or the next Oracle deck that I wanted to share was the Threads of Fate. So this is actually kind of funny. I have the Shadow Edition and I love it. But then I was gifted for Yule by my sweet friend the Rose Gold Edition, and because I love her so much and it's something that she gave me, even though I have another copy of a different version, I just couldn't. I wanted to keep this one because it's special. It's from her, and I actually really like it, even compared to the Shadow Edition. The Shadow Edition has background pictures. So it's got art in the backgrounds, and this is just rose gold inlay with just black. And I kind of like it for that simplicity. So yeah, this deck is beautiful. And Threads of Fate, they have different versions of this deck. But it is a very, very good workhorse deck. It has a lot to offer and it's very beautiful. And I love it. So the other one I picked up for Yule was the Arcana of Astrology. I actually had this on pre-order and then ended up waiting and then ended up spending some holiday money on it. I have one other astrology deck, and that is the Astro Soul Oracle, which I love and adore, but I've become a very big fan of Claire Goodchild's work. So I have the Memento Mori, the Antique Anatomy, and now the Arcana of Astrology. I don't really want to get Oracle of Oddities just because I like the Memento Mori so much, which I'm actually going to talk about next. But this is the mass market version of the Arcana of Astrology. And the biggest reason why I wanted the mass market version is because she had added the houses. She'd also changed the backs, and I thought it was really pretty. But I really, really enjoy this deck. I've actually been using these as significators. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, guys. Yeah, those cards. And I, for instance, when I did my birthday reading, I actually laid out my the sun card and Aquarius, because my sun is in Aquarius. And I've actually laid out my whole birth chart too, which has been really fun. It was kind of interesting to try and figure out how to do that. So yeah, Sun, Aquarius. And the guidebook is incredible, as usual, in Claire Goodchild's. Her Antique Anatomy guidebook, the mass market version. That's why I wanted that version, is because the guidebook is incredible. So speaking of astrology, there was other small mention that I wanted to talk about. And I was so excited I was able to do this for my birthday. I treated myself to getting a natal chart reading done by the wonderful Sammy Menzo, who is here on YouTube. And she blew my freaking mind. There's so much to digest from that. But she is damn good at what she does. And if you guys want a natal chart reading, you need to go to her. I will put her link down below. Please go give her your business, because holy smokes, the girl is talented. Seriously. Love you, Sammy. So the next one that I wanted to mention that I've been using a lot for mediumship is the Memento Mori, as I just mentioned a bit ago. This deck actually just came out with a couple expansion packs just a few days ago, that Claire Goodchild released, and I actually picked up one of them that is called the Ancestors and Advisors expansion pack because I use this deck specifically for mediumship and spirit communication. And I get such profound readings from this thing. It is insanely accurate, and the energy that this deck provides is just incredible. So it's really helping me have that tool to expand my mediumship abilities. And I'm really kind of grateful to have that visual representation to kind of help me open up a little bit. I would love to explore more without using this kind of tool, but for me right now, it's just something that is very, very helpful. Um, Also, I will mention the lovely bag. This is made by our wonderful Danny Mystic here on YouTube. She has a shop called The Witch in the Wild. She made this for me because I asked for one um that had a spirit board on it. So I will put Danny's link down below too. This is going to be a long video and I'm going to be really busy putting all those links. The other thing that I got for Yule from a very good friend of mine was the Yggdrasil Norse divination cards. As you guys know, I'm a Norse pagan. That is my path. And so I really wanted to explore with this card deck. I have not worked with it yet. Um, I've only had it for a little bit, but it has a lot of the gods. The only thing is that there's a lot in here that I'm not familiar with. So I'm kind of looking forward to exploring that. Some of the deities in here I am familiar with, and Freya's in it, thankfully. And Frigg. Let's see, there's Freya. So, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use this deck yet, or if I'm just going to use it as an oracle and have that under the lens of Norse paganism. But either way, I was really excited to have it, and I'm very grateful that my friend was so kind. But once I start to experiment more with this one, I will definitely let you guys know. So the last few things I'm going to discuss is just a couple of journal things really quick, and then I am going to conclude. So in my last video, I had shared this journal, this tarot journal, which is still fantastic. But the one thing that I really had a problem with is that it is not very conducive to writing for big spreads. So if I really am diving deep in with something with a tarot reading, I want to have a lot of room to write and digest the things that I have pulled and the things that have come up in this reading. And I just can't do that with this. It just doesn't give me enough room. Oops. So I've started using this as just a daily tarot pull journal, which I pull 3 cards each day, and then an oracle or rune card, or sometimes both, as I've mentioned. So this has actually been working out really well for that. But then I was thinking I need another tarot journal that I can actually just really have a lot of space to write. So I actually ended up picking up this black journal. I really like them to be bigger than an A5, if I'm going to be doing a lot of writing in them. And then I actually just decorated it with stickers. And it's just a lined journal. So I have a lot of space in here to write my spreads. I can really kind of just dive deep, and that's what I needed. And the thing that I was going to, where did it go? There it is. What I used to decorate it with was this awesome sticker book. So if you do any journaling or anything with stickers, this book is amazing. It's, I think, like between 15 and 20 bucks depending. But it comes with so much like funky stuff. It's going to take me a long time to work through this book, but I thought it was really fun, and I'm definitely going to have some fun incorporating. So that's all I have for you guys right now with my December, January favorites. As I mentioned, January was my birthday month, so I just turned 35. Yay. um, but I did want to just come on and share with you guys some of the things that I've been enjoying lately, some of the things that I have received, been playing around with, made, and experienced in a sense. But yeah, that's all I've got for you now. So thank you for watching, guys. And as always, blessed be.